Where would we be without the various products delivered by the men and women in the trucking industry? Healthy Conversations in Trucking podcast is a platform for professional long-haul truck drivers to share their journeys over the road, educating listeners about the trucking industry and lifestyle. Now, let's dive into the conversation on this brand new episode. Well, I'm excited to have our guest on this episode, Pete Silva. Hi, Pete. Welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm real good. I appreciate you taking some time to chat with me and coming on the podcast. And I'm excited to hear your journey. So I know you well because you and my husband go way back, but there's a lot of stuff that I'll be asking you about. And I'm just real curious about your journey. So let's just start out with you. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been in trucking?
Well, I started trucking when my oldest daughter was born, and then she's 28 now. Okay. So I know I've been out here for 28 years.
Wow. Time flies, doesn't it?
It sure does.
So what brought you into trucking?
Well, when I got married, I was kind of like, we didn't have any children and, not any real responsibilities. So I just never really, thought about what I was going to do when I grow up. But what happened was once my wife, when we were expecting my daughter Miranda, I said to my wife, well, now I got to get a real job because we got a family. We're starting our family. And so obviously what most people will do is what do you love to do? Well, I love to travel. So the only thing I can think of is driving a truck. That way I could do something that I like doing and I could travel around and make a pretty good living.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, having kids, starting a family will definitely make us shift priorities.
It does. It does. And when you start having children, life changes. Everybody needs to be responsible. Well, they should.
Yeah.
And I was that guy that was going to be a responsible guy and raise my family right. And here we are.
That's awesome. So I know what you haul, but just for all of our listeners, what do you haul?
I haul automobiles. I have a 2018 Peterbilt high rail 10-car carrier.
Wow.
And I try to haul as many cars in that truck as I can. And that's what I do. In the past, I have branched off and did some flatbed work for about 5 years, but ended up coming back to the auto hauling side of it.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I always thought the typical trailer for, especially with the Peterbilt, was 9 cars. I didn't know they went up to 10.
Yeah, there are 10. Most high rails are 10.
Okay.
So just a different type of trailer on the back of it.
Okay. All right. So, learn something new every conversation. So how much time do you spend on the road before you're able to go back home? Like, how long are you out?
I was out and doing some work, which was pretty much, all 48 states. And, you'd spend at least a couple of weeks out before you got back to the house. And then I did some regional work. And let's say at the end of the year, you figure out how many days you're away from home because you do your per diem. And I think I was average about 250 days on the road, not being home. So that was pretty much my average.
Okay.
So
now I'm curious, when you mentioned that, you did flatbed work for a while, did you have the same type of schedule? Are you out any differently than you are now? About the same?
It was a little bit different because when you do the flatbed, you're really, well, cars, you can only haul cars, but flatbed, there's more of a variety, but back then I was an owner operator. I've been mostly an owner operator since most of my driving career. And so I used to just pick and choose what I would haul. And sometimes you would be home for a week, and other times you would be out for a while. So flatbed would be all kinds of different. Would be equipment. It could be construction material. It could be landscape material. You just didn't you followed the market.
Okay. And was there anything that in particular that brought you back to automobiles?
Yeah, at the time when I got out of flatbed work, the flatbed industry had tanked. It was so hard to even get a load on your truck, and I was sitting there. I used to park it a lot, and there was a car carrier next to me with an 800 number on it. So I figured, you know what? I called it, and the day I sold that flatbed was the day that I got hired with a company to come back to hauling cars, so it worked out good.
Yeah, I guess there's always a need, huh?
Yeah, I'm a believer, and I just believe that God had his hands in that.
Yeah. So since you've been over, you already mentioned you traveled all 48 states. Is there a particular state that would be your favorite, or a certain region of the country that you really like to drive in?
Yeah, there's so many nice areas in this country that, it's hard to choose just one. Going up to the northwest corner of the country was very, very beautiful. Once you got up into, the Washington State, Montana, and all that. Yeah. A lot of it that I did pretty often was across the southern route to California, San Diego, LA. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the Southwest. I liked the desert. Loved Arizona.
Yeah.
Loved parts of Texas, stuff like that. But Arizona is probably the better part. And until you start getting into closer to the coast of California. So
yeah.
But yeah, and New England. I grew up in New England, so that was never really exciting to me because it was just something I was so used to. But traveling, coast to coast was I enjoyed it a lot. I got to tell you, the middle part of the country, no. The northern route, southern route, yes.
I like the desert too, so I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you about like what you like and then what you don't like so much. So what do you like the most about what you do?
I miss the road. I like the travel. I like it. I just had a period where my truck was down for a couple of weeks, and when I got back in it, I was like, I kind of had a little revelation there. I was like, I really like being on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, someday I know I'm not going to be there forever. Been out there for a while, but if I ever stop doing it, I will miss the freedom and the travel.
Yeah. I know we have, Jonathan has a list of places. He's like, I've seen some of the most beautiful places, tucked away places around the country. And when we get to travel on our own, he doesn't have to be on the clock or pushing. Then we're going to have a list of places we want to visit.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
I wish I could do that. One of my favorite spots going across is Texas Canyon. Anybody that goes across Arizona,
yeah,
they know what I'm talking about. That's probably one of the beautiful parts of the mountains on that route.
Yeah.
So there's certain places I just look forward to driving through. California, obviously, it's a pretty state, but traffic was never ever enjoyable.
Right.
So, but I had family there, so I could break it up and do some visiting on them.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's always nice.
Yeah.
Now, what do you like least about what you do? What's your least favorite?
The least about it, the thing that really is real hot on the industry right now is traffic and mostly accidents. Okay, because there's really not a trip that I do ever where I don't see at least 2 to 3 accidents, and a lot of them are people being so distracted that they're having They're not major. Some are major, but a lot of them are just, we call them cell phone crashes. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
People just not paying attention and having accidents, and that ties you back. And because we're so regulated with the ELDs now, that, it kind of stresses you out a little bit because, you got so much time to get your job done,
Mm-hmm.
So that's the least, that's what I don't really like about it. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much traffic, not handling the truck or the work. The work's okay. I'm used to it, and I like to work hard anyway. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know that there's a lot of health challenges with that we all face. Always have some sort of issue, but being over the road can make it a little bit more difficult. So, for you, is there a particular health-related challenge that you deal with, you face over the road? And, if so, how are you addressing it?
Well, yeah, they're health-wise, not so much, like health problems, but being able to try to keep yourself healthy and eat right. Eating can be a problem. Now, there was a time when I did stay out for like a couple of weeks, and I would put a crock pot in the truck and a little inverter, and I was able to, prepare meals in the truck because you had enough time to watch it and do it, because you would drive sometimes, longer distances, so you weren't doing it. Now it's a difficult thing for me to do because my trip's only about 5 hours, and then I'm working and I got to do this. So you're not going to be able to sit there and watch something cook in a crock pot. So that was good. I kind of ate pretty healthy then because that was stuff that it was fresh and I knew what it was. Nowadays, you go into a restaurant, you really don't know what you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
A lot of it's processed food. A lot of it is fast food. You don't find in the eastern part of the country, it's very hard to find a good restaurant for truckers that serves good food. A lot of times I will park in a Walmart and in an area where you can at least go into a restaurant. But that's difficult. You end up eating a lot of carbs. You end up gaining weight.
Yeah.
Okay. And you end up, and even though it doesn't really create much of a health problem to me, it's not good for you. But sometimes it's forced. That's all you have.
Yeah. That's what I hear a lot of. And that really frustrates me. I know just here, and I have access to the stores. I still struggle because I live in, where we live. It's a rural area, and I have a pretty much a plant-based diet, mostly vegan, a few kind of hybrid version there. But it's really difficult for me to just find places, especially on the days that I don't feel like cooking. If I don't have the time to get all the ingredients together and prepare everything, I can't find really good options where I'm at. So I can just imagine the frustration being on the road. And, it's not a matter of whether or not you can even pop into the store and get the food and prepare it yourself. I mean, you're just so restricted. So that I hate hearing that. And that's something I really wish we could change.
I mean, even when you're at home, when you're at home, it's kind of a challenge. You gotta make an effort to eat healthy.
Yeah.
And even like, plant-based, like perishables, like, the vegetables and stuff like that. A lot of people don't realize it, but there's a shelf space for vegetables too. They lose their nutritional value after a certain point too.
Yes.
So you gotta eat it.
Yeah, I get all excited. Especially now it's summertime, so there's these little vegetable stands everywhere. I'll get all excited and I'll grab all this stuff, and then I get home and realize, we can't eat it fast enough because it's going to go bad.
Man. Yeah, and plus, I get a little upset in my house when they start throwing food out because nobody ate it.
Oh my gosh!
I came from a family. We weren't rich. We were poor. We were a poor family, and you didn't throw food away. You ate leftovers until it was all gone. So
I think you and Jonathan are brothers.
Yeah, we still like it. It still bothers me. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but eating healthy is a challenge. And if anybody did it's not a challenge too, they don't do the kind of work I do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all I can say is, good for them if they can do it. It's very difficult for me to eat it. I do bring enough now for a couple of days in the truck because I have a plug-in cooler. So I do bring stuff that I can maybe go in and microwave it somewhere, and maybe a leftover or something like that. It's a little bit better now, but sometimes when I get real busy or if I really want to make some money and I want to stay out longer, I end up going into those places. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Definitely understand. Well, this has been a great conversation. I have just one more question for you, and then we can wrap up. For anyone who's listening, because you've been driving for a long time, you've got over 28 years of experience on the road, a lot of, I'm sure you've learned a lot, ups and downs, ins and outs. Do you have any bit of advice for someone who maybe just getting started or just driving out there and maybe facing some of the same type of challenges? Any tips or advice you can share?
Yeah. We all know that anybody that's going to start in this business, your best bet is to go with a company that's going to help you retain that CDL license. Okay. And normally they're going to probably want you to stay for a year. And I think that you should stay for a year because a lot of people are not going to hire you right off the gate. You got to at least have a year experience before you can start making choices to go find out what you really want to do. If you're going to be out here, get a niche. Get a niche. Get something you like and something that pays well, and go for that. Usually that works out in the long run. When I got my CDL license, I only got it 2-haul cars. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's why I got it, 2-haul cars. I didn't just get it because I wanted to be, I wanted to travel, but I did it because I wanted to haul automobiles. I've been around automobiles all my life. So that was my niche. Okay. Mm-hmm. You have to find your niche. I have a cousin that hauls heavy haul. He knows how to drive heavy equipment because his grandfather was a supervisor for a big municipal, a city municipal department. And he taught him as a little boy how to drive, ride around in excavators and floaters and stuff like that. So he goes into these places. That's his niche. Mm-hmm. He does very well at it because he knows how to operate those machines. So you find your niche. You'll be happy out there. Yeah, hopping around from here to there, that's real easy to do because anybody will hire you after a while, but you won't be happy. You want to be happy, get a niche and enjoy it and go out there and make some money.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that it's great for trucking for sure, but that definitely spills over into a lot of industries. But that is
anything. You do what you love.
Yeah, great advice. Well, Pete, thank you so much for like I said, being on the podcast, sharing your story. I've enjoyed this conversation. I've took some notes. I've learned a lot about you today.
Well, thank you. I'm happy I could talk to you today.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Well, we'll be in touch.
All righty.
Thank you for listening to the Healthy Conversations in Trucking podcast. Learn more or be a guest on a future episode by visiting healthyconversationsinTrucking.com or simply HCITpodcast.com.